Alright, motherfuckers. As I'm getting off work, my hunches have been validated. I don't want to say it was confirmed, but it was kind of confirmed-ish. Whatever. They haven't been tackling. Like, they're hitting, but they're not tackling. In practice. It was blatantly obvious that they weren't tackling at all. Or whatever. Like, hitting. Fine. Like, every movement that they were doing, like, just looked like that they... hadn't tackled a soul since they graduated from their last year at high school. You know what I mean? Like, that's what, like, some of the angles, like I can remember back in the day when, you know, we would practice like particular angles, and it's like, it was almost like a shock, like, boom, somebody's coming at me, and so you'd panic, you know, and you would get happy feet, and you would rush up on somebody, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it's looked like, you know? Honestly, you know what's funny is Buford. I think Buford has potential to be an amazing safety, because I've seen him make some big time plays, and manly plays. And Buford's the shit. But there was a couple times also where it's like he does both him. Well, Farmer's never been a very good open field tackler, but there's been times. There was in last week's game, there were times where he just run right up on the ball carrier when he breaks through the front seven, and would overrun running up on him, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, I took a bad angle. Anyway, that's disappointing and infuriating, because I've talked to a couple people online or whatever, and it's like how that's kind of pissing everybody off, but that's also optimistic. It's like, all right, well, that was that. This is now. Mickey Joseph is pointing out the kind of like duh scenario that it's like, yeah, we should have been doing that from day one, you know. And obviously the specifics matter, but they weren't hitting. And I think a lot of that has to do with like the new mentality behind football. The new mentality in the sense that everybody's gonna get injured. We're all worried about CTE. We're all worried about like injuries. We're all worried about those things. But it's like, I used to compete. I used to fight. And training camp was a reason. There was a reason why you went through vigorous training camps. You know, it's like, it was to get thick skin. It was to get thick skin to where you didn't bruise because somebody blew on you. You know what I mean? Like, there was a reason why, because as training camp would go on, your skin would get thicker. It wouldn't bruise as easy. Football is no different. Like, you have to hit, and you have to you have to tackle. You have to be physical. And the less physical you are, I'm sorry, the easier it is that you're going to get injured. I don't know. It seems counterintuitive. It seems paradoxical. I get it. And obviously, like, the more and more the NCAA, as stupid as they are, tried to restrict physical contact. Okay. So they've even reduced even more two-a-days and all those other things. So it's like, puts you even more of a restriction. Well, then what freedom you have, you should be doubling down on hitting. You should be doubling down on the fundamentals of the physicality of the game. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not a head coach. All those guys up there are the head coaches. They know more than me. It's one of those things that on the surface seems very consensual, and to the rest of the world, like, we're sitting there just thinking, like, what the fuck? What? But, you know, there's also a part of me that's like, well, y'all know something that we don't. But my point is that from an optimistic standpoint, you know, Mickey Joseph has recognized that in his press conference. I enjoyed hearing him talk because he was very matter of fact. He was very to the point. He was very straightforward. He was very no fluff. He was very minimal. He was very quick with his verbiage, and that was good to hear. Very forthright. And so we got 9 games. We got 9 games left. And so for that reason, you want to hear somebody that you want to hear something come from somebody that just is going to be very straightforward. As a matter of fact, like, there's something that's awesome to hear from a coach that even with the media is very short with them. Like, in the sense that it's like, I ain't got time for you. I don't have time for you. I'm going to answer your questions. I'm going to give you, for the most part, what you need to hear and what I'm going to present to you. And we got work to do. I don't know, guys. There was a couple other things that I was going to throw on this, but I got kind of carried away with the whole tackling bit. Because, dude, I had a hunch. Like, I don't know. I had a hunch because I had a feeling that they weren't tackling. And maybe they still were tackling, but it's like, I really wish that I knew how much tackling and how much physical contact they were having. All in all, guys, like, I really, how do you want to say, like, I don't know. Obviously, I've made it known in some of my videos before. I've made it known that it's like I'm very much an advocate for the homegrown guys, like, and it's mainly just because you want to keep guys around, and the guys that are homegrown, you have a higher tendency of being able to hang around, but it's also like there's a different character. There's a different type of character because Nebraska, like, the way they did things and the way they won was not normal. It was not normal in what most other schools did not win that way. Back then and now, most schools didn't win that way. And so I guess you could say that that's why Nebraska is unique, because of how they chose to try to win. And it worked. That formula worked. And that formula can still work now. But that kind of formula takes time. And nowadays we ain't got time. And for the most part, like, the big business that the semi-pro element of college football has become, ain't nobody got time. So you kind of want to find the happy medium between all that. You want to find the happy medium within, we ain't got time, but at the same time, let's do things honestly. Let's do things carefully. Let's do things slowly. Let's do things with detail. And, you know, in all honesty, it's like, that was the one apprehension of Frost that probably anybody ever had about him, was that he was coming from a West Coast, Pac-12, Pac-10. The Pac-10 sucks. The Pac-12 sucks. And it sucked for, you've had an occasional physical team, USC, Oregon. You've have an occasional physical team that can compete with other physical teams, but it's few and far between, ever. Why the hell would you be trying to duplicate your formula off of West Coast teams? And then you go to UCF, where you're fluffy, you know, flamboyant, sexy, flashy style, to where you don't have to be too worried about details because you got crazy athletes who can pull off a 70-yard play. Like, there's a part of me that's like, we should have known. That's how Scott Frost was going to try to work things and make and believe, naively believe, that would work in the Big Ten. You know, a physical conference that's all about details. But the part of you that thought that he wasn't going to try to roll that way, Chip Kelly style, Chip Kelly ruined him. Chip Kelly ruined Scott Frost. But the part of you that thought that he wasn't going to try to do things Chip Kelly style in the Big Ten was Tom Osborne and Nebraska. You know, when he was playing for Nebraska, that physical style. You know, you would have thought that he would have come back to Nebraska with the intent of being like, okay, I consciously am acknowledging that the Pac-12 UCF style is not going to work in the Big Ten. Like, you kind of thought that. And it's like, I'm sorry, the level of coaches that he's worked under with Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, whatever, like, and Tom Osborne, you would think that he would have thought that, like, and would have assumed that he would have brought that to the table. No, he didn't. He brought literally trying to do the Pac-12 crap in the Big Ten, and it ain't gonna work. Inevitably, that's the direction that he went, and so it's a bummer. It's a bummer, and that's one of the things. Like, I acknowledged that when he got hired, but I always had more faith in, like, the coaches that he learned under in the pros, and knowing that he ran physical style football with Tom Osborne in Nebraska in the most physical style, or the most physical age, I should say. That's what I thought. But no, he went Chip Kelly style. And obviously, Chip Kelly football does not work in the Big Ten. It does not work in the Big Ten. So, anyway, guys, like I said, I just got off work. And I'm in my ranting mode, if you will. I'm in my ranting mode, so I just figured I'd jump on this thing and just, like, blah, 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 like, ramble, because I watched the press conferences, and I'm obviously feeling a certain way. So, with that being said, it's like, I'm going to get off. I've ranted enough. I don't know, people respond to the ranting stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I don't respond to the ranting stuff, but you know what? Hey, that's what I'm doing over here. It's adding flavor to my other shenanigans that I'm doing on my Nebraska channel, whatever. In conclusion, I like Mickey Joseph. He's the guy that I'm hoping for, but I understand why they may or may not stay with him. Who knows how it's going to look in the next 9 games coming. But everything that I've heard, the players are responding to him. And that's the number one thing that you want. Is that players are going to respond to him. And if they stopped responding to Frost and are going to be more responsive to Mickey Joseph, and Mickey Joseph is making them tackle in practice, those two things can change. I can't put a percentage on it. Can change percentage levels, palpable percentage levels of how they look on the field. You know, is it going to make them all of a sudden be bowl eligible and, you know, win the rest of their games? Probably not. But at the end of the day, all you can hope for is that these players get a fire lit under their ass and they get a little validation for what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, it's these players. These players, you want to see them be validated for the work that they're doing. There's nothing worse. I can attest to this. There's nothing worse than not being validated for what the hard work you feel like you're putting in for what you're doing. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, I'll stop bugging you. So, just saying what's up. Love you, Nebraska family. I can't turn this thing off. Ah!